introduce yourself and where you're from.
So I'm Liv Dawn and I'm from Loch Lomond area near a little village called Drimmen.
That's fantastic, Liv. So, first of all, your song Welcome Home has been a recording that's been planned for a large period of time. Did you feel any particular pressure when recording this track and making sure that it was the song people intended to hear?
Yeah, so the song first came out with the BBC Singer-Songwriter Award. So it was one of the first songs I'd ever written. And it was just like acoustic, so it was literally just me on guitar and singing. And then I submitted it for the award, and then I didn't hear back for a little while, and then I heard back when I was in London last summer, and they were like, "Oh no, you've made it to the final 10," and I was like, freaking out. So I think because it was involved with the BBC, this song was literally part of the BBC, that's quite a kind of big high standard. So obviously I got to record it in the BBC studios last year, and then they put up that performance on their pages, and it was for a public vote. So then people were to vote in their top, I think it was their top 4 artists, and then they were the 4 that went to a final. So it's quite a lot of pressure with that anyway. So I was like, oh my God, is my song actually that good? Are people going to vote for me? So that all kind of happened, and then I just got into the final 4, and then we were invited to the live final that was at St Luke's in Glasgow. So with that, and that itself was a kind of lot of pressure, because I was like, it's just me and guitar singing, and it's quite a personal, quite vulnerable song to be singing it in such a big venue and a big crowd.
And see, the thing is as well, with a song like that, you've rehearsed it so many times in your head that sometimes you forget what the song actually means. So it's when people are hearing it for the first time, it is special to them, you know?
Yeah, because we had, before the live show, we had a few wee rehearsals in just one of their rooms in the BBC, just getting everything prepared. And how many times I'd went over and over and over it. And I know what you mean, it loses, I mean, maybe for the singer, it loses its touch a little bit each time you sing it. But like you said, it's the first time an audience is going to hear it. So I did try and talk that into myself before the live final. I was like, this is the first time a lot of people are going to hear this song. I'm just going to just do it as if the first time first time I sang it and the first time I wrote it. So already because I performed it at the final, and it was, the whole song is come from the BBC really, and I had planned so that was at the end of last year, and I'd planned on just bringing a demo version out just with me and guitar, just the way it was always originally written, in February, March time, but it just didn't really work out, and then lockdown happened. So I had still planned, I was like, right, okay, I'll still get a little demo out, and that'll be my lockdown thing. I'll just get it out through lockdown, and people can listen to it. But then just timing just didn't really work out. So I had planned it coming out quite early on in lockdown, but then I went through a kind of very quiet spell and just took a little bit of a break through lockdown from music. And then it was a few months, when was it? It was about August time, I actually kind of just started getting into music again, and that was when I was like, okay, I'm going to actually record this now, and I just recorded some guitar and vocals myself. But I was like, God, I could just add something else that could just take it to that kind of next level and bring out maybe more emotion and stuff with it. So for the live final, for one of our songs, we got to play with a string trio. So I got in contact with the cello player, Elspeth Mackay, and just said, look, I've got this idea. I'd really love strings in the song. If you'd be interested at all, because obviously you're amazing. It was great to work with you at the show. And she was like, yeah, sounds great. So just all remotely, I just video called her and was like, this is what I want to do. But I kind of handed it over to her. So I just gave her the vocal part and my guitar part, and I was like, I want you to just come up with an arrangement, you create it, because you know what you're doing. I don't really with strings and stuff, and actually kind of writing music. So I was like, yep, you do it in your own way. But I was like, I just kind of gave her wee pointers, like for the first chorus, I wanted the cello notes just to follow the change of the guitar notes and stuff like that. So then I was kind of back and forth for a wee while. These things take a lot of time because it's like I would send her the tracks and then it would be like a week or two and then she would send me something back and then I would be like, oh, can you just change this wee bit? And then I'd send it back again and it went on for a little while. It was like I think it was probably about a month all in of like getting the final cello track done. And then it sounded amazing and I was like, oh, a wee bit of piano would sound so good, but I'm not great at piano, like I just know basic chords. So then I was like, oh, I could get in contact with Gus because he's also part of the award. And I was like, why don't I just get people who were involved with the BBC Award involved in this song, because Welcome Home came from the BBC Award. So I was like, it'd be a really cool concept. So I was like, oh, Gus, like, how do you feel about doing some piano? Because we're good friends now. And he was like, yeah, sounds good. So literally in about a week, he managed just to fire and do some piano, and that was it. And it was perfect, like, first time. I was like, great. And then that was it. So I knew a guy who does mixing and mastering. So I just contacted him, and then I was like, would you be up for mixing and sort of pulling a track together? Just balancing it all out. Because I can do a little bit of mixing, but it's just not at, like, top level. So, yeah, basically it's all just done at home and remotely. So I did the guitar and the vocals, and then Elspeth did the cello from her house, and then Gus did the piano from his, and then the guy, Kieran Savage, I don't know if you heard of him, he mixed the track. And then that was a bit kind of back and forth for a few weeks because, like, even though I'm not great at mixing, I knew exactly how I wanted things to sound.
You had a vision of how you wanted it to go.
Yeah, like the levels and kind of the harmonies. And I wanted, like, basically the vocals and the cello to be, like, the main parts, because the cello's just so emotional, I think. And also the guitar part's really important, but I just wanted the cello to be, like, one of the main parts. So it was kind of back and forth for a little while, and then we finally got it all kind of evened out in the way that I wanted it. And I got annoyed him because I was like, can you just change this? Can you just add this? Can you just add that? But, like, he's great. And then that was it. And then I had it kind of sitting for a while, and I was like, what am I doing? Am I going to release it or not? And I was like, do I have enough time to release this before the end of the year? Because this was I think it was about September at this time. So I'd literally taken, like, was it September? I think it was about October, actually. So it'd taken, like, a good 2 months to actually get all the recordings and pull it all together and get it finished. So it's kind of about October, and I was like, what am I doing? Am I going to release it? And then I kind of just had it sitting for a little while. And then it was in November. I was like, okay, I'm going to submit it. So I just submitted it for a release. And then that was it. But yeah, like, I feel like there's a wee bit of pressure because it was the song that got me into the award and stuff. But, like, it always will just come from me just writing that wee song in my room just with my guitar. But I feel like it's quite cool that I brought in Gus and Elspeth on the track, who were part of the award as well. So it's like, it is kind of all, I want it to be literally a wee bubble with the BBC Award, and that's where it's come from. And, like, kind of dedicate it a little bit to the BBC, because, like, if it wasn't for the, like, getting involved with the award and stuff, like, that was basically the catalyst of my career, I think. So that pushed me way forward if I hadn't have got involved with that. So, like, I'm very grateful to them. But yeah, like, I feel like a little bit of pressure now of how am I going to push it, how am I going to get it out there on the same level as what I got with the BBC in the beginning. And because it is the same song, like, people have kind of heard it before, so it isn't like this brand new release that no one's heard. It's just a slightly different version. So I'm a little bit nervous on just, like, how am I going to push it and really get it out there, because I want people to listen to it because it's such a special song to me.
And it would be, it would feel that way, because it has been such a long time as well that when was it you originally written the song?
I think I first wrote this song, like, I think it was maybe, like, 2017, 2018, so like a good few years ago. I'm trying to think.
See on that.
Yeah, I think it must have been a good few years ago, but I just played it kind of acoustically, just at some gigs, but I never actually did much with it because it was quite a personal song. So I was like, do I want people to listen to this or not?
Right. See on that. See now, obviously it's 2020. Do you feel that the meaning of the song's changed, or does it bring back a lot of old emotions each time you listen to it?
I feel like certain parts of it's changed, but it's always got this like root meaning. Because like as I've played it more and like recorded it more and added more to it, it has like it's had little like other meanings added onto it. But it was always this song of like of just looking after yourself and like focusing on you, and like cause when I was about kind of 17, 18, I sort of had a bit of a weird time just with like friends and starting college and leaving school, and it was all just a weird time, and like I kind of felt like I had lost a lot of people, and I didn't really know how to like cope with that, so like I kind of focused on me a lot, and literally from then like all I had done was just focused on me and like what made me happy and what I wanted and how to just like I don't know, just literally just look after yourself a little bit more and put yourself first rather than putting other people before you all the time. So I think that's where the meaning comes from, is just this little song where I'm kind of opening up going, yeah, like I didn't have a good time back then, and like, you know, I took a little time to like heal and kind of come back a bit, because, you know, I kind of lost myself a little bit through that time. But the way that I've written it is as if I'm talking to like one of the friends that I was close with back in that time, who I had to step away from because they weren't affecting me badly or like holding me back. You know what I mean? And I wasn't able to like find myself and become me.
And that's the thing with, see, general creative people, there does come a point in everybody's life where they start to find new people that they can relate to, and sometimes that can be a hard process, like moving on for people. So I totally understand what you mean by that, you know.
Yeah, and then I think like the more that I started to develop the song, I was like, yeah, that is exactly what that means. Is like the way that I talk about it now is like it's about a song of like personal growth and like self-development and just finding yourself and figuring things out about yourself and what makes you happy and how to be happy. But like the way I've written it is so that like I've been talking to someone who was from a time where I wasn't great, but I'm asking them like, have you changed as much as I've changed? Like, yeah, I've changed, but it's like I'm still that same person, but like I've changed in ways where I know how to look after myself. Like I know what makes me happy now. Like I know what I want to do in life and stuff, but then I don't know if the people that I was involved with back at that kind of hard time, I feel like, are they just the same or have they changed at all? If they went through what I went through, because I want them to, because I'm a much better person and I have a much better like outlook on life now from going through like that kind of rough time. So I think that's really where the meaning comes from. So like the chorus is all about me and looking after myself and focusing on me, but then the verses are like me talking to an old friend or like someone who I've not seen for a long time from that kind of rough period. Yeah, so I think that's where, and I feel like it is still there, that meaning, but it's just had little branches added to it, which they still come from that original meaning. So yeah, so in that sense, like, I've always been a bit nervous about it because it is quite personal, because I'm literally just like this, opening up everything in this wee song.
And it's like, see, something like that is when you're releasing a song that does mean so much, it's like, it's almost like letting go of a bird and letting it spread its wings, you know? That's the way I describe it. And it can be quite scary, and people hearing that and the people's representations or their interpretations, what they think the song is, it's always interesting. Yeah,
because like I also like people to take have their own interpretation on music and on songs. For this, because I had people asking me like, oh, is that about a relationship? And I was like, it could be, because the way that I'm talking is like as if it's, you know, like someone that you're not in the relationship with anymore, but you're like asking them what's changed, are they new, like if you met someone else, like blah blah blah. And the chorus is maybe about, you know, the relationship wasn't good, so I had to step away from it and look after myself in that sense. So like I feel like you could relate it in any way, but I think I related it more to like where I was at a certain time in like friendships more than relationships. But like I feel like people can interpret it in their own ways as well, and I feel like that's cool if you can write songs where people can take it in their own way and relate it to themselves in a way that suits them as well. I think it's really cool.
See what on your music, what I think's particularly fantastic about your music is your lyrics and your songs, and I feel that a lot of your songs it's really focused vocally, and I feel that it brings out the best in your lyrics as well because people really pay attention to it. How do you find it as a process to keep making songs that are lyrically strong?
Yeah, like I kind of go through little waves of like I'll write really quite deep lyrical songs, and then I'll write a song that's just kind of like your catchy pop like melody, which are great as well. But I don't know, like it's kind of a hard one. It just comes and goes, like that writing, like little buzz. Like I'll kind of get in a zone and just get everything out. But like I also like to write from other people's perspective. So like for example, if like my mum's told me a story about like a friend or something she had, or a past relationship, or like my friends are telling me stories about, I don't know, stuff that like hard things that they're going through. I like to take that in as well. But yeah, I think because vocals are my main like instrument, like that's where I want it all to come from, and I feel like you can express so much through vocals.
And see as well as that, like I've had the falsetto to your track Welcome Home, it's been stuck in my head the last couple of days, and it does show how important that is, you know, and if you can combine that with the lyrics, strong lyrics that you have, it does have a really positive effect.
Yeah, I feel like there's kind of a mix, like if you can write really like deep emotional strong lyrics, then also write a vocal melody that is maybe a wee bit more simple or catchy, so that it's quite easy to listen to, but then they can actually really hear the lyrics. I think it's really important. So like there's a kind of balance. So I feel like sometimes you can get a really strong vocal melody, but the lyrics are just very, you know, quite simple. They don't really have a lot of like deep meaning, which is totally fine. I also like to you can balance that. So like for the verses, you could go quite kind of deep and emotional with like lyric wise. And then for the chorus is when you go to that catchy, easy listening kind of feel, where it's just maybe 4 simple words, but even those 4 simple words mean a lot, but it's not as quite complex like if you were to write literally just writing out like notes or something, or a kind of monologue. Like that's where I kind of like with my writing, it comes from, it's like I kind of feel like it's like a monologue, like a story. Like you can read it out. Like I've practiced that a few times, is like just reading out my lyrics, and sometimes it generally just sounds like a conversation. Like I think that's quite cool. So if you actually just read out Welcome Home, it can, obviously the way that you'd say it, you'd maybe fall back into the way the rhythm goes, but like if you literally were just to read that, it could kind of be like a wee poem, or just a story, or just as if it was a conversation, like you chatting to someone. And I think that's really cool as well, if you can take lyrics away from the actual music and they're just a wee story.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool, and that's really where my writing comes from, is that side of things as well. But no, vocally, I think because I know that my vocals are at my strongest point, like mixing the lyrics and vocals are my key kind of things with songs, I think.
I'd agree with that. You're a country pop musician, but stylistically, there's influences there that make you quite unique, I'd say. Are your writing inspirations different from what influences you with your genre?
Yeah, so like, I find this is where I get a little bit stuck, because like, what am I, like what genre, where do I actually fit in? Because like, I think I'm very much like contemporary pop, acoustic music. That's where I think my bubble is. But then I'm like, I'm not really. Like, then I could also be a little bit of like folk music, because the root meaning of folk is like storytelling. But then I feel like when a lot of people, if you define yourself as folk music, people just think you like run about and like dance in circles with like a ukulele or something like that. Like that's kind of what people think with like folk music. But then on the other end with country, people just think it's like old guys, hillbillies, like just all sing, if you know what I mean. So it's quite hard. Like, so this is how I've kind of put myself in this bubble of like acoustic pop music, but with little bits of folk and little bits of country.
Like a hybrid.
Yeah, like, but I feel like it's still, I'm like, it's been a really hard thing to be like, what style actually, what actual style am I?
Do you know what the hardest thing is? See, when somebody comes up to you and says what style you're, or they say what you sound like, I've always find that really difficult to pinpoint to somebody with a musician,
Yeah.
like, because they're their own person, you know what I mean? And it's hard to pinpoint, say, oh, I sound like this or I sound like that.
Yeah, and I feel like you do get musicians who very much sound like another musician, and that's fine, that's totally cool. But like, I feel like, yeah, like you can't really be like, oh, you're just like this, or you're just like them, or you're just like this person, because you don't want to be the exact same as someone else, but you've weirdly got to still fit in as other, like the same as other people. It's a really weird one. So it's like you've got to fit in, but you've got to be different. And I think I found that quite hard, because like, I like through lockdown actually, I kind of went more to the country pop, but then I was like, Welcome Home isn't really country. It's quite a hard one. Like, yeah, it's got wee country elements, like maybe with the fiddle, or the just some of the way my vocals kind of flow, like they sound, you've got like that country kind of element to it. But I'm like, really, that song is like an acoustic pop folk song. But like through lockdown, I got involved with kind of more country music kind of pages and live streams and stuff, and then like my voice really suits like country music, like with the, I don't know, just the depth it can have, like it really suits country music. But then I don't find myself writing country, like pure country songs, so I found it really hard being like, I can't really define myself as fully country because I'm not, and then I can't define myself as fully folk because I'm not. It's really hard, like, so I've kind of just blended these three genres and hope that, you know, I could fit into like a wee bit of country and fit into a wee bit of folk.
And I felt that way, your song, Welcome Home, is that it is a blend of different genres, and I pick up on that because I hear wee twinkles of certain influences, and then I hear other influences in the track, so it's interesting to listen to.
And like I maybe could fit into like that acoustic Americana style as well, where that literally Americana is like a blend of kind of blues, rock, country, folk. That's an acoustic, and it's all kind of either contemporary or whatever. That's kind of what Americana music is. So I'm like, or I'm a Americana, like I'm kind of still figuring that out. But like influences with maybe people, like country influences, like artists and singers, like I love like Dolly Parton, and also like Sheryl Crow, like, but she mixes quite a lot of kind of rock as well, which I think's really cool. And then also like Fleetwood Mac, I love Fleetwood Mac, and then like Stevie Nicks, but see for writing, like Stevie Nicks is a really strong influence as well, because I find like Fleetwood Mac songs and even like Stevie Nicks' own stuff, it's all very big, like see the production, like see like Go Your Own Way for example, like it's a big production, but see if you were to just strip it down and literally just have a little bit of guitar and the lyrics and vocals, it's really strong meanings like behind the lyrics. But I feel like with big productions and songs, the lyrics kind of get faded down a little bit, and you don't hear them properly, like hear the meaning. But like so like writing wise, like Stevie Nicks, even Dolly Parton as well, like her writing, if you were to strip her songs right down, like they're amazing. I'm trying to think like other, like I love kind of country artists like Hunter Hayes, and then there's Lady Antebellum as well, but they're very much like country pop, but there's a distinct like sound to them, which sometimes I'm like, yeah, I could write songs that do fit into that, but I'm also like, but I don't. I end up kind of just going and doing my own kind of mix of everything. But maybe that is what I'm like as an artist. I just mix everything, and maybe I'm not meant to fall into like a specific genre. But there's an Irish singer called Dermot Kennedy. You heard of Dermot Kennedy? He's got some songs in the charts and stuff, but writing and like lyrically, he's a massive inspiration because his lyrics are amazing and it's generally just storytelling. So, but his kind of style of music's a bit different to me. So he mixes kind of like hip hop and folk. It's quite weird and kind of, so he'll do like lots of very heartfelt and deep meaning lyrically, but then he interprets lots of like beats and kind of hip hop sounds and stuff, which is really cool. But he likes to write about, he doesn't just write about like happy love songs all the time. He writes about like real things, like dark stuff and like what people go through and what he's went through, and that life isn't easy all the time. And I feel like that's quite, like that's what I want to write about as well. So if you get a chance, listen to Dermot Kennedy because he's so good. Like his like lyrically, it's amazing.
So it's been fantastic having you on, love. Where can we listen to your new track?
Yeah, so it's been released in all platforms. So it's on like Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, Google, YouTube Music, like everything. So yeah, you can find it on anywhere, and you can stream or download it and buy it from iTunes and everything. So please go check it out.
Thanks for coming on, love.
Thank you so much for having me.